Hello and welcome to The Big Game. I'm Richard Mills alongside Taylor Rubot. On this show, we'll take an inside look at spring football along with softball and baseball.
And also, we'll update you on the tennis team and brush up on how the Lions golf and track teams are doing.
But first, we'll catch up with some Lady Lions softball. The Southeastern Lady Lions currently hold a record of 9-2 in Southland Conference play and 14-18 overall. The Lady Lions recently hosted conference rival Sam Houston State in a 3-game series. Joseph LaGrange tells us how the team performed in their Friday doubleheader.
The Lady Lions softball team battled Sam Houston State in a doubleheader last Friday and swept the Lady Bearcats. The Lady Lions got on the scoreboard first in the bottom of the first inning when Megan Moore, Amber Sather, Kenzie Nichols scored on a double by Teresa Lemos. Sam Houston chopped the lead to 3-2 with the leadoff home runs in both the 4th and the 5th innings. But in the bottom of the 6th, Southeastern broke the game open. Nichols singled in 2 runs before Booker tripled in a pair. Sather then lifted a sacrifice fly to the right field, scoring Booker. The Lady Bearcats could do no more damage in the final inning as the Lady Lions shut them out for a final score of 8-2. In the second game, the Lady Lions picked up right where they left off in the first one. Amber Sather's run-scoring single gave Southeastern a 1-0 lead in the first before Moore grounded a single up the middle, scoring another run. On the play, Sather made it all the way to third base on an error. Lacey Fritz then singled in another 2 runs before Vanessa Ng plated a run with a sacrifice fly to center field for a commanding 5-0 lead. Nothing would happen for either team until the top of the 4th inning when Sam Houston State's Hillary Adams hit a grand slam off the glove of Southeastern's left fielder Kenzie Nichols, cutting the lead by 1.
Well, I wasn't very happy about it, but it was a good hit, and it's just she got a hold of it. It helps me stay, I guess, more focused when it's closer. It just made it more real, I guess.
I'm very confident confident Taylor can get them out. We're going to score the runs.
After the doubleheader win, the Lady Lions are now 9-1 in the conference, 14-17 overall. The Lady Lions would score a final run in the bottom of the 6th and would not score again for the remainder of the game. Instead, they would play defense, finishing off another win. Taylor Bishop pitched the majority of both games, leading the Lady Lions.
As the last hope against Bishop, as that will be lifted out to left field. Nichols with the grab to end it for the 6-4 victory for the Lady Lions as Bishop pitches a gem of a game in Game 1, closing it out in Game 2.
It was a little bit of everything. You know, we had outstanding pitching by Taylor, and then our whole lineup contributed to the runs. Earlier, Teresa drove in 3 runs. Amber drove in runs. Booker, who's come up big for us every week, has driven in the last 2 runs there. It's a team effort. Everybody's making the catches, making the pitches, and getting the hits when we need them.
The Lady Lions proved their dominance over the Bearcats this past Friday as they claimed victory here at North Oaks Park. Reporting for The Big Game, I'm Joseph LaGrange.
The 2-time Southland Conference champion Southeastern's football team hosted its annual spring game this past Saturday, where the white team defeated the gold team 45-26. The white team was the Lions' offense, which scored points in the traditional way. Meanwhile, the gold team, or the defense, earned points for turnovers, 3-and-outs, and stops. Both the offense and defense had their moments during Saturday's game. Sophomore running back Eugene Bethay led the white team with 12 carries for 49 yards and 2 touchdowns. As for the defensive side, senior defensive back Josh Dakin led the gold team with 2 interceptions.
The Lion football players showcased their skills for NFL scouts this past weekend at the Pro Day held at the New Orleans Saints indoor training facility. Among those participating for the Lions were former quarterback Brian Bennett, only the 3rd athlete in school history to represent Southeastern in the Senior Bowl, following Robert Alford 2 years ago. Jim Babcock has more on what Bennett's been up to since he last took the field at Strawberry Stadium.
My name is Brian Bennett, former quarterback here at Southeastern Louisiana, proud alumni, and looking forward to playing the NFL.
If you're from the Hammond area or even anywhere within a 30-mile radius, you most likely know the name Brian Bennett. Former Oregon quarterback Brian Bennett transferred to Southeastern after he had to make a difficult decision about staying or leaving the Oregon program.
You know, when I decided to make the move to come out here to Southeastern, you know, I never ended up regretting it. It was an awesome experience for me.
Bennett is the two-time reigning Southland Conference Player of the Year and also a part of the back-to-back Southeastern Football Championship teams of 2013 and 2014.
You know, to be a part of Lion Nation and be a part of, you know, some historic things that we were able to accomplish here at Southeastern for this program, this community. It's really been, you know, a great experience.
After Bennett graduated and finished his role with the Southeastern program, he began training for a little thing called the NFL Combine.
I was working with Jordan Palmer, who was my quarterback coach. I think he helped me out tremendously, just, you know, fine-tuning your craft and, you know, being able to just focus on just being a football player now.
Bennett not only got invited to the 2015 NFL Combine, but got a shot to roll with the big dogs when a quarterback dropped out of the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama, and Brian was asked to step in.
You know, got the opportunity to head out to Mobile and be a part of the Senior Bowl, you know, a game that's been around for a long time, so that was really an honor to be there.
Bennett has been noted by the NFL analysts as one of the most underrated quarterbacks going into this year's draft. Ironically enough, the coach who recruited Brian to Oregon is now the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
I know everybody, you know, wants to think I might end up back out there with them. You never know. You know, it's something that we kind of haven't spoke about. It's just been, you know, talking ball, how you doing, you know.
Although Brian may be preparing to play at a bigger stage, the former Lion will always bleed green and gold.
You know, Lion for life is definitely something that, you know, I'll keep with me, and, you know, I'm proud to represent. It's been a great 3 months, and just looking forward to seeing where this work is going to pay off at.
For the big game, I'm Jen Babcock.
Southeastern Tennis has had a successful start to this season, currently 8-4 overall and 3-2 in Southland Conference play. The Lady Lions recently traveled to Abilene Christian for a Southland match, but unfortunately they didn't leave with a win. Southeastern fell to Abilene Christian with a 6-1 loss. Although junior Renee Villarreal has stayed undefeated in singles play and remains #1 in the singles position, Southeastern has been up and down in doubles throughout the spring, currently 12-12 as a team in double play. The tennis team will go on the road to Mississippi to compete against Jackson State University.
Coming up after the break, we'll talk about some Lions baseball. Stay with us, you won't want to miss it.
The Southeastern Channel offers a lot for sports fans.
Coaches shows, interviews with student athletes.
Football games, baseball games, basketball games.
I enjoy watching the coaches' insight programs after online tracks because it does give our fans an insight of what happened during the game.
I enjoy watching the big game. You know, it gives me an opportunity to keep up with Southeastern athletics on a weekly basis. You know, not just football, baseball, basketball, but even the smaller sports, you know, like soccer and volleyball.
One of the things I've enjoyed most through the years watching is the production of the glory years.
It's a history, it's a documentation of where we've come from around here.
Solidified the reason why we brought Southeastern football back.
When the Southeastern Channel replays games, it helps the students be able to catch up and see what's going on.
I like to watch the baseball games and the football games.
It's the only time I get to watch Southeastern football is I get to see it on television. I don't ever have time to go.
Even athletics can be an educational experience when you involve the Southeastern Channel.
Welcome back to the big game. The Lions baseball team, the defending league tournament champion, remains in first place in Southland Conference standings by a half game over Northwestern State. The Lions recently took on heated rival Nicholls State in a 3-game series. Let's go live now to big game reporter Paul Rivera for the rundown on what happened this past weekend and what the Lions have to do to hold on to that #1 spot.
Yep, Richie, the Lions did end up taking that 3-game series from Nicholls State 2-1. Now they ended up losing the last game, and that's important because it ended up snapping their 7-game win streak. Now, yeah, the Lions are at first place in conference at 9-3, but they have to be vigilant. Northwestern State is not too far behind. And with about 2 games left in the regular season, the Lions have to hustle and make sure they're in a good spot to be able to defend their Southland Conference title. Back to you.
Thanks, Paul. Before losing their last game to Nicholls State 4-0, the Lions were on a 7-game win streak highlighted by a series sweep of Texas A&M Corpus Christi Islanders. In the first 2 games of the series, the Islanders would start off strong only to fold under pressure in the final innings of each game. Let's go to the highlights. Doubleheader for Southeastern taking on Texas A&M Corpus Christi. And early in Game 1, Southeastern was down until Daniel Minette's RBI blooper to left is dropped, scoring both Kenan Menard and loading the bases. Kevin Carr would be next up for the Lions, and he would have hit a 2 RBI single up the middle, tying the game at 3-3 late in the 6th inning. Following a Chris Eads RBI with both runners on the corners, Ryan Byers would be next up, and he would single to center field, scoring the all-preseason conference performer Brett Hoffman. Lions would take the lead in Game 1 in the 6th inning. Big Max Sorolla retires 8 of the last 9 batters for Southeastern to take Game 1 for Southeastern. On to Game 2, the Lions are down early again in the 6th inning, deja vu, and Ryan Byers' 2-out knock would score both Daniel Midyett and Carr. Late rally for the Lions as Kenan Menard would be up next to the plate, and just like last game, was single to right, drops in, and it would score 2 more runs in the 6th inning, tying up the game. Deadly 6th inning performances for the Lions in this 3-game series. But Jacob Sear would take the plate next, and he would add icing to the cake with an RBI single. The Lions would take the lead 5-4 in the 6th inning, but he would get extra bases off of an error. The Islanders, though, trying to make a threat in the 7th inning, but it would be silenced by the great fielding of Brett Hoffman. Dominic Carlini would be in relief for the Lions, and he would throw 3.1 scoreless innings as the Lions would add 2 more runs in the 8th inning. Carlini, though, not done yet, as in the bottom of the 9th inning, he would end the game in probably the most dominating fashion for a pitcher as he fans the last Islander batter. Lions would take Game 2 and would sweep the Islanders at home, and this 2-game sweep would propel Southeastern to number 1 in Southern Conference standings.
The golf team finished second at the Lone Star Invitational in San Antonio, Texas. The Lions shot even par to finish the tournament with a score of 18 under par, 846. Senior Grady Brame carded an even par 72 in the final round to finish 6 under par, tying for 7th place. Following Brame was junior Lawrence Allen, finishing 13th, and sophomore James Anstis in 25th. Anstis set tournament records in the opening round, helping the Lions remain in 2nd place. The golf team will finish its schedule in the Old Waverly Collegiate Classic in Mississippi, April 6th through the 7th.
The Southeastern track team also traveled to Texas over the weekend to compete in both the Texas Relays and the Texas State Bobcat Invitational. The Lions threw big at both meets as junior Jonathan Kenshin tossed for a distance of 211 feet 10 inches, finishing second in the hammer throw, followed by junior Alex Young, who placed 14th in the same event with a distance of 188 feet 9 inches. At the Bobcat Invitational San Marcos, junior Misha Frazier shadowed yet another school record in the hammer throw. Frazier tossed for 157 feet 5.3 inches, clinching 6th places for the men. Senior Brett Olson threw for a personal best of 184 feet 8.9 inches. The men's 4x400 relay team took 1st place at the event. Southeastern's track team had a successful weekend and will travel to the Sunshine State for the Florida Relays. Coming up after the break, Jen Babcock joins us on the desk for some pick and roll. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the big game. It's now time for pick and roll, and we have Jen Babcock joining us on the desk. Jen, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
Now we're going to get started with some Southeastern baseball. They're currently 9-3 in conference play, and they just came off a 7-game win streak. Jen, what do you think their chances are looking like looking forward?
I think their chances are really good. They did drop one this past weekend, but they had a 7-game winning streak going on before that. So in baseball, that's huge. They're 9-3 in conference. They're in 1st place. So I think if they keep, they dig in their heels, they'll be okay.
And Taylor, what can be said about their play so far in conference?
Well, they're not doing too bad in conference play. I will say that Webb Bobo is leading the team with a .366 batting average, so he's definitely doing a big, definitely contributing to the team a lot more. And I mean, I'm going to point out Ryan Byers every time I go to the Southeastern games. I always see him making like a huge contributing really big to the team with 23 RBIs. I think they got what it takes. Even though they did stumble a little bit for Nichols with a 4-0 loss, I think they can come back.
And Ryan Byers is a local boy from around here, from Ponchatoula. And people tend to forget that Nicholls State just earlier this year beat LSU, who's now number 5 in the nation. But moving on from diamond to diamond, we're going to softball, another team that has a very impressive record in conference play. They're 9-2. Jen, what can be said about their performance?
You know, they are 9-2 in conference and 14-18 overall, which is not very good. But they only suffered their second loss in conference this weekend to a strong Sam Houston team. You know, in Texas, they don't mess around with softball. So if they, again, can dig in and really focus and do this, they can do it.
And Taylor, I know they're in a very tough conference where a lot of teams at one point were undefeated. What do you think their chances are going to be moving forward?
I think they have what it takes if they're going to be moving forward. I'm not going to lie, freshman Sydney Booker definitely has a lot to do with the team. 38 RBIs, 7 home runs. She's leading the team in home runs. I think it's pretty impressive because you're a freshman and you're coming out on a collegiate team. I think she has a lot to prove for the team.
And this is definitely one of the most impressive starts for the softball team in Southland Conference play. But while we're talking about impressive starts, we're talking about the football team, what everyone's anticipating in the fall. Who's going to replace Brian Bennett? And the last time we might have seen him perform was at the NFL Pro Day, which was in New Orleans at their training facility. Jen, what can be said about the performance of the athletes at the Pro Day?
Well, for Pro Day for Southeastern, 10 people went. Brian Bennett had a great Pro Day. He only had 2 drop passes, so I mean that's a whole lot of completions. And someone that really gets looked over is Ryan Adams, who was our kicker last year. He was 14 for 14 of field goals, and his longest was 57 yards, which is a personal best for him. So I think Southeastern really tore it up with Pro Day.
And Ryan Adams definitely did a fantastic job of replacing all-conference performer Seth Sebastian last season. But Taylor, who else might have stuck out at the Pro Day?
That would be Isaiah Corbett. He ran the 40 in 4.82 and 4.78 seconds. He did very good overall, 32 in the vertical jump. He did the short shuttle in 4.63 seconds and 3 cone drills in 7.08 seconds. I think he's going to do pretty well in the NFL, even though he may come on as a walk-on, but he'll definitely get picked up.
Hopefully with a lot of these pro days going on in the New Orleans Saints facility, maybe they might get some recognition and we might see them as black and gold next season. But while we're in a professional field in New Orleans, the Pelicans, they're 2 games out of 8th place right now. Jen, what do you think their chances are of making the playoffs?
Right, like you said, they're 2.5 games. They're in 9th place, really fighting for that 8th seed to get into the playoffs. 1 through 5 is locked in. There's nothing changing that. But to get that 8th seed, a lot of teams are fighting for it, so they're really going to have to focus.
And Taylor, what might make a difference looking in these next stretch of games for the Pelicans?
Well, I think they're going to have what it takes for their next few games coming up. Their record is kind of neck and neck. I believe it's 49 and 46 maybe. I could be wrong. But they have Ryan Anderson coming back as a stretch forward. I'm looking forward to see how his performance will contribute to the team.
And they surely will be clicking on all cylinders. But as some people may know, Oklahoma City's best leading scorer, Kevin Durant, just out with an injury for the rest of the season. So maybe that might help propel the Pelicans to the 8th place position. But that'll be all the time we have for this edition of The Big Game. Join us again next time when we look at what's happening with Southeastern sports, in-depth sports news. And you can go to www.lionsports.net. For Taylor Rubach and Jim Babcock, I'm Richard Mills. Thanks for watching.